Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. She is somebody that can help you with your relationships. And when we look at relationships, they're everything in our lives. We are social creatures. We crave connection. Part of that is relationships. If yours is on the verge of collapse, maybe a breakup, or, of course, the divorce rate is so high, have you considered working with someone on your relationship to help coach you to build trust in a relationship, to maybe rebuild that connection? Maybe you're feeling like there's no hope left in your relationship. Let's talk with somebody about that today. Not only is she a transformational holistic coach in general, but she specializes in relationships and marriage. And it's great to have her with us. Elena joins us on the program. How are you today?
I'm great, Steve. How are you? Thank you.
Very well. And gratified that we can talk here today because there are so many people going through challenging relationships and not even knowing how to navigate those waters. What are you hearing, Elena, overall, when you first meet with either couples or individuals about their relationship? What are they telling you nowadays?
Right. I hear you, Steve, saying that there are many couples going through a lot of relationship challenges, especially now when life is changing so rapidly, when we're getting new technologies, when everyday workload sometimes is increasing, stress load is increasing. So then it gets into the relationship, and just like everybody else, before I became relationship coach, I was in the same shoes. I was experiencing all these things, and I didn't know how to handle them. So it turned out there is a specific language. Relationship has a specific language, and we can hope that somehow it's just going to work for us, because we've seen so many Hollywood movies, where lots of beautiful things are happening simultaneously because 130 people were working on that moment. But we're getting this idea that that's what's going to happen for us. And when we don't see that in life, we are disappointed, we're frustrated, and we're saying, well, my relationship just doesn't work. I need another partner. What I learned through my work, though, Steve, that most of the time it boils down to learning how to communicate, how to have effective, healthy communication, how to, well, not only, of course, what comes next is understanding of gender differences, and on and on and on, of course, but it all begins with learning how to communicate.
Does it? We've often heard that it's about communication, but I'm hearing it from you again. Is the baseline for saving your relationship, enhancing your relationship, does it all come down to communication?
Well, not only communication, of course. The big part of it is the difference between masculine and feminine energy. And it's a very interesting area, actually, because nowadays we can have women with masculine energy. Women are becoming, more and more of breadwinners in the families. She can be millionaire, billionaire, right? And her husband is engineer, and they still can have a beautiful relationship. And masculine, sometimes men have developed their feminine side of them. They are aware of their feelings. They're very sensitive. They're, maybe empaths. Maybe they're even doing that for their work. Like sometimes my clients are psychologists and therapists themselves. But when it comes to being in the relationship, that's a very, very interesting area. And to tell you honestly, Steve, there are so many things that we can talk about here, but here's the most important thing. The core of my work I see not in, dissecting those parts of the relationship that we would be scrutinizing under, microscope. They have anxious type, avoidant. We can put all these labels and work on that for 3 years. that's not how I work. I like to connect myself, and it's going to sound very interesting for some people, but the core of my work is deeply spiritual. So when I feel connected and grounded, that's when I feel in my power, and when I connect to a particular couple, I believe I'm getting a guidance, because how in the world I would know what to do with this couple right from the beginning? It's unexplainable, even though, yes, there's, 30 years of study, and I never stop, and I always have several trainings going simultaneously. Sometimes I think it's too much. But this knowing, what to do with this couple, what this particular couple actually needs, is something that made me, how to say that, to bring success to this couple, to see this, happy faces on my Zoom screen, because I work currently online only in this mode, travel mode, and that's what is the most important, that to be connected, to know, and to deliver. And so that would be my answer.
Do you feel, Elena, that many relationships have challenges because the individuals in the relationship haven't worked on themselves? What do I mean by that? It could be limiting beliefs from their childhood, or things that they grew up believing, or just insecurity issues, or fear of abandonment. So many different things that somebody could be dealing with, but they haven't even discovered or figured out that ultimately that's what's going on within them.
Steve, you are absolutely right. And here is the big misconception that people have about relationship coaching. They think, and some of my clients even share that with me, they think that my goal is to make the relationship or marriage work, doesn't matter what, which is most of the time, yes, the goal, but the most important thing is here for me to make every individual happy first. Every individual has to be in the place where they're in this elevated state of mind and spirit and body. That's when we can connect them, and that's how they create a great couple. Now, when it comes to individuals, I have a very, very special tool that allows me to work with them on their fulfillment, because let's face it, we have so much of everything in this country. We have lots of material possessions. We have beautiful cars and, smartphones. That's smarter than us a lot. But
we have lots of distractions.
Right. But when it comes to your own fulfillment, it is very important to know what you're doing in life is meaningful, is beneficial, because people are spending more than 40 hours, sometimes 50, 60 hours at work, right? And doing something unfulfilling really stresses people out and can bring health problems, challenges and such. And of course, they're leaking into relationship eventually. So when I do my assessment, and I do very, very deep assessments with couples when we meet, I look at the emotional trauma, yes, childhood, yes, but I don't dwell on that, because we can spend years working on that, but what is most important to move forward, that's how, I work with those things, and then, but of course I still work on emotional trauma, but I just don't like spending too much time on that. I want this couple to move forward. Then I am looking at their fulfillment, because sometimes you have to go a little bit deeper. People say, I have a nice job, I'm getting good financial rewards, but at the end of the day, if you feel empty, if you feel unfulfilled, that is not serving the purpose. And also other things, there are lots of things in this assessment, like social circle, their current relationship with their parents. Doesn't matter if they're alive or not with us anymore, there is still a relationship going on, believe it or not. So that sometimes has to be healed, even though there was trauma, even though sometimes I work with pretty heavy emotional stuff, let's say. But when I see that person is moving forward with their life, that's the answer to my work, that I see that we work through and we cleared those things that would hold them down.
I love your approach and how you also recognize emotional trauma. I think I heard you say chakra. Did I hear you say that?
I didn't say chakra yet, but you're close enough because I've been practicing yoga for more than 20 years. And at some point I even was teaching yoga, but as my curiosity goes on, infinitely and endlessly, I moved on from that area, and I just brought all these things that I learned from the past, as being music teacher initially, then business owner of yoga preschool. One of the first, by the way, in this country. That was interesting. People are still asking me, what is yoga preschool? Many years I have not been doing that anymore, but yoga is the way, because that makes you to be connected to your core, to understand yourself, to connect your mind, body, and spirit into the whole, which is for lots of people something that they do not experience in life. And when your emotions are running your life, when you are not aware of many things like health, for instance. Hormones is a huge area where I look too. And while I'm not a doctor, I usually recommend people to become more aware of their hormones. Men and women, by the way. It's not only women having those hormones and middle crisis. Everybody has this more or less, but becoming aware of your energy, what are you bringing to the relationship, also comes from health.
You really look at every aspect when you work with somebody, from emotional traumas to energy to their current life, stresses along the way. What pops in my mind right now are the 5 love languages, and I think they're fantastic. I think every couple, before they even get closer into a closer relationship, forget about marriage at that point, should really look at the love languages. That's my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, Steve. This is one of those stepping stones that should be in the game. Not only you become aware of your gender differences, and by the way, there is a book that I usually recommend my clients, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which
John Gray, remember it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than 20 years, he wrote it more than 20 years ago. Still a very reliable source of information, I would say. There is some repetitions in the book, yes, but it reaches the goal. After you read several times about those differences, it kind of makes you to get it down. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you, I want to go personal now for a second, now that we've opened the door to the love languages, 5 of them. What are your top 3 for you?
Top 3. I usually recognize top 2, but...
let's go top 2. Let's go top 2 then.
I can go for 3.
No, let's go 2. Let's go 2.
My number 1 is most misunderstood, which is gift. And yes, and most of the time people think that gifts is about somebody who is very materialistic,
Right.
She wants diamonds and Gucci purses for $5,000. But gifts is just the way how love was shown you at a very early age, and how your nerve system accepted to see this love. And so it was as simple as my beloved grandma was coming from the market, and she was bringing me this ice cream that would be melted by the time she would bring it from the market. And so my nerve system learned that love is given to you. It's something tangible. And, of course, my favorite dessert is melted ice cream, needless to say. But basically, the way your caregivers, your parents, whoever was that source of love for you, was given to you, your nerve system records it in your body, and you respond to that, okay? My next love language is words of affirmation. And, of course, like every woman, we love compliments. We love, words of support and encouragement and acknowledgement. Very common love language. Lots of people have it. I would point out that lots of men have touch as a main love language. I would say 90% probably. When they connect physically, when they feel their partner, that's when they feel love, just like I receive gifts. And by the way, it's not only about receiving gifts, it's about giving. I sometimes selfishly give people gifts because it makes me feel happy.
Mm-hmm. So, absolutely. And I'm with you there. Words of affirmation would be number 2 for me as well. I would probably put physical touch at the top.
Here you go.
Yeah, I bet you most men will. Receiving gifts, for me, kind of important, but I would say maybe quality time would be above that. But either way, we're all individual. We're all different. And the love languages, once you realize it in your partner, because I feel a lot of us give the other person what we want. And,
yes.
If it was you and I, physical touch is not at the top of your list. So I'm going to be hugging you. I'm going to be holding your hand. I'm going to be close to you. You may be like, that's not really what I need right now. So it's very individualized. That all being said, when we're dealing in relationships, one of the big things is trust. And what happens when trust is breached? Let's say somebody is not being faithful in the relationship. What, and I don't, this could be 3 podcasts, I'm sure, but
yes.
What are the starting points there in rebuilding trust?
Right. That's a good question, Steve. Just like you mentioned that using love languages is very specific and very unique, very personal experience, right? Same applies to rebuilding trust. There is not one recipe for everyone how your trust is going to be rebuilt, and there is no promise either. When I start working with couples where there were a case of infidelity or, other things were happening behind their partner's back, I do not promise that their trust is going to be rebuilt because this is not my decision. I cannot take the responsibility for somebody else's decision, but I will help them to go through this challenging time in their relationship with less blood, so to speak. And at the end of the day, most of the time, again, 80-90%, we're able to rebuild trust by connecting, and sometimes it's very, very, very challenging. And, being in that place myself, I know how it is very hard to forgive somebody. You can logically forgive, but then your emotional part of you is just not in peace with that decision, and then it shows in the relationship. But it is of course very possible. And what you can start with, you can just have this open and honest conversation, and that's why professional help here is very helpful, because when one side of the relationship is very hurt and another side knows that the fault is on their side, but they don't know how to bring it, that's where my role is to see why it happened. Because my belief here is that it's not always 100% fault falls on one partner. It's just not true. Because think about it. If I am in a relationship and I feel loved, I really feel that. Why would I go and look for more love outside of the relationship? Now, there is a special category with emotional trauma that sometimes pushes people, even though they know that they're loved. Mm-hmm. So then we have to clear that emotional trauma so they could enjoy the relationship. But most of the time, that's the relationship itself where the person didn't feel fulfilled. And so, of course, we need love. We need to feel that connection. So naturally, they go and they find another partner, then they feel sorry. And when I ask them in one-on-one sessions, like, what was special about that person? Did you find what you were looking for? And they're saying, no, actually, my wife or my husband is, most of the time it's my wife, is everything I wanted. I want in a woman. And they say it just happened. They cannot explain it, but I know why, because it's their physiology most of the time that just requires that connection, that feeling that they're trying to fulfill outside of the relationship.
I also look at it as if somebody's, now, short of abuse in a relationship, that goes all the way over to the side. Somebody may be looking for something outside of the relationship because of unresolved things in themselves. Let's say it's a woman. Let's say she didn't get certain attention from her father. Maybe she's not getting that from her current partner. He could be the most wonderful man on the planet.
Right.
But something's missing inside of her, and she's looking for it elsewhere, i.e., with somebody else. But comes back to one thing. It runs very deep, and you can't navigate this alone. You have to have somebody walk the journey, at the very least, realizing in yourself what's going on and why your relationship is having some challenges. And that's where you come in. Elena, how does somebody work with you? How do they reach out to you? And how does the process go?
Well, it's easy to find me because I have a website, elenavid.com. I'm also on Instagram, relationship coach _Elena Vid. You can connect with me there. I'm on Facebook under Elena Vid, and on LinkedIn as well, Elena Vid Coach. And we usually start with free consultation. That's where we learn what kind of challenges they have, and I suggest the format that would work for them. Initially, I would have 1 or 2 sessions to kind of, go a little bit deeper, first consultation, to see how much exactly work needs to be done, how much of emotional trauma, how much of, other things are involved, health challenges, their sleep, their energy, all that kind of, their whole ecosystem, so to speak. And then I could say, okay, well, that's how much time we're probably going to work, and it's still always an estimate. Human beings are so fascinating. You never could tell 100% how it's going to work.
Sure.
But with consistency, I see very, very high success rate.
There's so much to talk about here. Like, we could go on a 20 podcast. Even the relationship one. And I did find on your website 7 easy steps to build trust. And that's just a starting point. Trust is so essential. And again, it requires understanding why couples do, why we do what we do. And that's where you come in. I want to share with everybody your website, ELENAVIT.com. Elena, wonderful having you on here today. Learned a lot in just a few minutes, and get a chance to get together again. I would love to. There's so many things to talk about, and relationships are everything. Love is the highest vibration. We're all looking for it, and we want it to be the best. And I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.